Beloved chosen one, listen carefully. You did not stumble into this moment. You did not drift your way into level 777. You crossed a line in the spirit that most people never even see, and you did it without breaking a sweat, while others exhausted themselves striving, proving, and pushing. You moved quietly, steadily, obediently. Heaven noticed, angels leaned in, and even God himself marked the moment, not because he was surprised by who you are, but because of how flawlessly you trusted the process. You need to understand this clearly. Ease does not mean absence of battle. Effortless does not mean unearned. What felt natural to you was supernatural preparation unfolding exactly on time. Every season where you were overlooked, every time you were underestimated, every lonely stretch where you felt hidden instead of celebrated, those were not delays. Those were divine compressions, pressure without panic, training without applause. You reached level 777 because you learned something most never do. You learned how to move without ego. You learned how to obey without explanation. You learned how to keep your spirit clean while others let bitterness harden them. And that is why this elevation feels light. You are not carrying unnecessary weight. You dropped it long ago: resentment, comparison, the need to be understood. That is why you ascended quickly when the moment came. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. Heaven accelerated you because you were ready to be trusted with more without losing yourself. God does not promote noise, he promotes alignment. And you aligned yourself in secret. When nobody was watching, you chose integrity. When nobody was clapping, you chose consistency. When nobody validated you, you chose faith. You may be tempted to downplay this moment. Don't. Humility is not denial. Humility is agreement with what God has done without taking the credit for yourself. And what he has done is unmistakable. Level 777 is not just a number. It represents completion, rest, and divine authority layered on top of discipline. You did not grind your way here. You surrendered your way here. There are people around you who will not understand how you advance so smoothly. They will assume shortcuts. They will assume favoritism. Let them. Explanation is not required when heaven is the witness. The same God who hid you is now revealing you, and he does not need consensus to do it. You are entering a phase where things respond to you faster. Doors open with less resistance. Discernment sharpens. Peace deepens. This is not luck. This is stewardship being rewarded. God entrusts greater territory to those who will not contaminate it with pride. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay." This verse is not poetry for you, it is documentation. What others called delay was simply appointed timing, and when that timing arrived, it arrived suddenly. You did not rush the vision. You protected it. You waited without quitting. You endured without becoming hardened. That is why when the acceleration came, it felt effortless. Sweat is produced when flesh is fighting. Grace flows when spirit is leading. Hear this warning with love: do not minimize what God has maximized. You are not allowed to shrink back into false modesty. At the same time, you are not permitted to boast. Walk steady. Walk clean. Walk aware. Level 777 requires balance. Authority without ego, confidence without arrogance, power without cruelty. Some assignments ahead will look too easy. That does not mean they are insignificant. Often, the most impactful moves are executed calmly, not dramatically. Do not look for chaos to validate calling. peace is the confirmation. Right now, darkness is confused by you. It expected you to break. It expected exhaustion, compromise, burnout. Instead, you emerged rested. That alone is evidence that God carried you. And if He carried you here, He will sustain you where you are going. This message reached you because heaven is acknowledging the milestone, not to inflate you, but to anchor you. Remember who lifted you. Remember who trained you. Remember who opened what no man could shut. If this resonates in your spirit, pause for a moment. Like this message, share it with someone who needs confirmation, and subscribe so you stay connected to what is unfolding next. Then, as a prophetic act of alignment, comment the number 777 below only once, as a declaration that you recognize what God has done and you choose to steward it well. Stand still for a breath. Let it settle. You have reached level 777, and this is only the beginning. You did not reach this level because resistance was absent. You reached it because resistance never owned you. What tried to stop you became what trained you. What was meant to drain you became the weight that strengthened you. And the reason it looks like you advanced without effort is because the hardest work happened where no one could see it inside your spirit. In silence, over time. There were seasons when it felt like everything slowed down around you while pressure increased within you. You watched others advance publicly while you were refined privately. That was not punishment. That was precision. God was not interested in making you impressive. He was intent on making you unshakable. So He allowed friction without allowing fracture. He let you feel the heat without letting you burn. Resistance introduced itself early in your life. Confusion, rejection, misunderstanding. These were not random events. They were early indicators that your spirit carried weight. Light always attracts opposition before it attracts affirmation. You were opposed not because you were weak, but because you were dangerous to stagnation. Darkness sensed what you had not yet named. What others perceived as delay was actually insulation. God insulated you from shortcuts that would have corrupted your calling. He insulated you from applause that would have fed ego too early. He insulated you from relationships that would have cost you clarity. And while it felt like you were being held back, you were actually being held together. You learned endurance without drama. You learned how to keep going without announcing your wounds. You learned how to stay kind without becoming naive. You learned how to forgive without reopening doors. These are not common skills. They are marks of someone being shaped for authority. The resistance taught you discernment. You began to sense what was off before it spoke. You learned when to stay silent and when to step away. You stopped explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. That restraint alone preserved your strength. Many burn out not because they lack power, but because they wasted on battles they were never assigned to fight. You also learned how to sit with unanswered questions without abandoning faith. That is rare. Many believe only when clarity is immediate. You believed while things were still forming. You trusted while the blueprint was incomplete. That trust recalibrated the way heaven responds to you. God entrusts more to those who do not panic when they cannot see the full picture. Resistance refined your motives. You checked your heart again and again. You asked yourself hard questions and you removed hidden pride. You uprooted bitterness before it could take hold. That inner work is why elevation did not crush you. You were already living at a higher altitude internally before you ever moved there externally. There were moments when giving up would have made sense logically, but something deeper than logic kept you anchored. That was not stubbornness. That was calling. Calling does not shout, it persists. It keeps showing up quietly even when enthusiasm fades, and every time you chose to stay, something unseen aligned in your favor. The enemy miscalculated you. It assumed resistance would harden you. Instead, it humbled you. It assumed pressure would exhaust you. Instead, it clarified you. It assumed isolation would break you. Instead, it taught you how to hear God without noise. That is why your advancement appears effortless now. You already paid the cost internally. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 10. If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. This verse is not condemnation, it is contrast. You did not faint, you endured, and because you endured, your strength expanded beyond what circumstances could measure. You are now standing in a place where resistance recognizes it no longer has leverage over you. It can still appear, but it cannot control. It can still whisper, but it cannot direct. You are governed from within now, not from without. That is the mark of maturity. Understand this. Level 777 did not arrive suddenly. It arrived accurately. It arrived because you were already living at that frequency long before the number appeared. Heaven simply aligned the external with the internal. What lies ahead will require this same steadiness. Not intensity, not haste, steadiness. You have learned how to move without rushing and stand without freezing. That balance will protect you in the next phase. You did not escape resistance. You mastered it. And because of that, what once slowed you can no longer stop you. While you thought nothing was happening, heaven was watching you quietly win. Not with trumpets, not with spectacle, but with accuracy. God observed the choices you made when obedience cost you comfort. He saw the restraint you practiced when retaliation would have felt justified. He noticed how you kept your heart soft in seasons that hardened others. And that quiet faithfulness carried more weight than public victories ever could. You must understand this. Heaven measures differently than the world. The world counts speed, noise, visibility. God counts obedience, alignment, timing. You were not competing on a human scoreboard. You were being evaluated in the courts of heaven. And while people misjudged your pace, God recorded your precision. There were moments when you questioned whether your consistency mattered. You showed up again. You prayed again. You chose right again. And nothing seemed to change immediately. But every act of obedience stacked, every unseen decision compounded. Heaven does not waste faithfulness, it archives it. And when the moment is right, it releases accumulated obedience all at once. You were winning battles you never announced. Saying no when no one would have known. Walking away when staying would have felt easier. Remaining honest when dishonesty would have advanced you faster. These were not small choices. They were proof that your foundation could handle promotion. God was especially attentive to how you handled obscurity. Obscurity reveals motive. Many serve faithfully until recognition delays too long. You kept serving even when it felt like nothing was moving. That told heaven everything it needed to know about your heart. You were not loyal to outcomes. You were loyal to calling. There were watchers in the spirit realm assigned to observe you, not to judge you, but to testify. Angels take record. Scripture shows us this again and again. When obedience aligns with humility, reports are sent upward. And when reports are consistent, promotion becomes inevitable. You did not need to self-advocate. You did not need to manipulate timing. God Himself became your witness. He defended you when you were silent. He explained you when you were misunderstood. He opened doors you never knocked on. That is the reward of those who trust heaven's process over human urgency. Some people only noticed you after the results appeared. Heaven noticed you long before the clarity, long before the confidence, long before level 777 was visible. God saw the version of you that kept believing when belief felt thin. That version mattered the most. As the ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 8, verse 27 still echo today. He who searches hearts knows the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of God. This verse explains why your prayers were answered even when words failed you. God searched your heart, not your vocabulary. He responded to alignment, not performance. You were not perfect, but you were sincere. And sincerity before God carries authority. You repented quickly. You corrected yourself quietly. You listened when conviction came. That responsiveness is rare. Many resist correction and forfeit growth. You welcomed it and accelerated. Now you are beginning to see why certain delays were necessary. If answers had come sooner, they would have overwhelmed you. If exposure had come earlier, it might have altered your motives. God waited until your inner structure matched your outer assignment. That is wisdom, not withholding. Not, heaven watched you mature without applause. That is why heaven now entrusts you with influence without fear. You are not intoxicated by attention. You are anchored by purpose. And because of that, what is coming will not distract you, it will amplify your impact. This section of your journey is about recognition not from people, but from God. And when God recognizes someone, outcomes follow naturally. You do not need to chase validation anymore. Heaven has already affirmed you. Pause here for a moment. Let this truth settle. You were never unseen. You were simply being observed by the right audience. If this resonates deeply, respond with a simple declaration: I stayed faithful, in the comments. This is not about visibility. It is about agreement. By writing it, you acknowledge that your quiet obedience mattered, and you align yourself with the truth that heaven saw every step. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You were watched, and you won. What you are beginning to understand now is something very few ever grasp. The reason your victory felt sweatless is because grace was carrying what effort never could. This was not laziness. This was alignment. When grace and obedience meet, struggle is reduced without purpose being compromised. You were not spared effort, you were spared unnecessary strain. Most people confuse hardship with legitimacy. They believe that if something does not hurt, it must not be real. But heaven does not validate calling through exhaustion. God validates it through fruit, and your fruit appeared not because you pushed harder, but because you learned when to stop pushing and start trusting. You once tried to force doors. You once overextended yourself. You once confused urgency with importance. But God corrected you gently. He taught you how to move at His pace, not faster, not slower. That lesson changed everything. When you stopped striving, things started aligning. When you stopped proving, things started opening. Grace does not remove responsibility, it reallocates weight. Instead of carrying everything on your own strength, you learned how to partner with God. You still showed up. You still prepared. You still stayed disciplined. But you were no longer carrying anxiety as fuel. You were no longer driven by fear of falling behind. That shift is why the journey became lighter even as the calling grew heavier. Sweatless victory confuses observers. They cannot see the internal surrender that made it possible. They assume favoritism because they cannot measure grace. They assume ease because they did not witness the inner wars you fought to let go of control. But heaven saw every moment where you chose trust over tension. This is how God works with those He intends to elevate sustainably. He teaches them how to rest without disengaging, how to move without panic, how to advance without losing peace. Peace is not a side effect, it is a prerequisite. Anything that requires you to abandon peace to obtain it is not from God. You are now living proof that grace outperforms grind, not because grind is evil, but because grind without God is inefficient. You discovered that when God goes before you, resistance weakens, delays shorten, confusion clears, and effort is multiplied rather than drained. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 29, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." This rest is not inactivity. It is divine pacing. It is the rest that comes from knowing you are not alone in the assignment. Your sweatless victory is also a test of whether you will credit grace or revert to pride, a test of whether you will stay dependent or become self-sufficient. God watches closely after ease arrives, not to trap you but to protect you, because the greatest danger is not hardship. It is forgetting who carried you when things become smooth. Ease can quietly seduce the soul if you are not anchored, when things flow smoothly. Vigilance is often the first thing people release, but you are being trained to remain alert without becoming anxious, grateful without becoming passive. This level requires awareness, not suspicion awareness. You must remember that grace flows best through humility, and humility is preserved only by continual remembrance of who truly leads the way. The higher you rise, the quieter pride becomes, disguising itself as independence. That is why God invites you to keep returning, not out of fear, but out of relationship. Dependence is not weakness at this level, it is precision. You do not need to grip control tighter, you need to listen deeper. Victory sustained by grace must always be guarded by remembrance, or it slowly turns into self-reliance. You must guard this lesson carefully. There will be moments ahead where pressure tries to return, not because God has left, but because new levels require renewed surrender. Do not default back to striving. Do not confuse motion with obedience. Ask again, listen again, yield again. Grace flows to those who remain teachable. This is also why your influence will not exhaust you. You are not building on adrenaline. You are building on alignment. Others burn out because they run ahead of God. You remain energized because you move with Him. That difference will become more obvious as time goes on. If this message is helping you see your journey more clearly, take a moment gently, intentionally to like and share it with someone who feels guilty for not struggling enough. And if you have not yet subscribed, consider doing so not out of obligation, but as a way of staying connected to messages that remind you grace is not weakness, it is wisdom. You did not break a sweat because you were never meant to carry this alone. And heaven is not stunned by your success, it is pleased by your trust. At this level, awareness becomes a discipline, not fear, not pressure. Awareness. You are learning how to live with the understanding that heaven is watching, not to scrutinize you for failure, but to partner with you in growth. When you recognize that heaven observes your posture, your choices begin to sharpen naturally. You pause more, you react less, you listen deeper. This is not restriction. This is refinement. Many people live as though only outcomes matter. But in the kingdom, process carries weight. How you speak when no one applauds. How you decide when no one corrects you. How you respond when you could easily compromise and no one would ever know. These are the moments that matter most now. Heaven observes patterns, not performances. One practical instruction for you in this season is this: slow your inner world before you move your outer one, before decisions, before responses. Before commitments, pause. Ask not only is this beneficial, but is this aligned? Alignment is the currency of level 777. What drains peace is rarely aligned, even if it looks productive. Another instruction is to audit your environment regularly. Who has access to your thoughts? What voices shape your perception? What content feeds your spirit? You are no longer at a level where exposure is neutral. Everything either sharpens you or dulls you. Choose deliberately. Heaven watches not just what you do, but what you allow. You are also being trained to recognize spiritual surveillance not in a paranoid sense, but in a purposeful one. Angels are assigned, assignments are active, movements are noted. This is why integrity matters more now than ever. Integrity is consistency across visibility levels. Who you are alone should match who you are seen to be. That harmony attracts heaven's support. A key practice for you is intentional obedience in small things. Do not underestimate simple instructions, promptings to rest, nudges to reach out, urges to hold your tongue. These are not random. They are calibration points. Each time you obey quickly, your sensitivity sharpens. Each time you delay, clarity dulls slightly. Heaven responds to responsiveness. Another discipline is gratitude without complacency. Gratitude keeps your heart soft. Complacency makes it heavy. Thank God for how far you've come, but never assume arrival means completion. Level 777 is not an ending. It is a threshold. Gratitude anchors you. Hunger moves you forward. You must also practice discernment with visibility. Not everything you are capable of doing should be shown. Some victories are meant to remain quiet because they protect future assignments. Heaven watches how you handle attention. If attention changes you, it limits you. If it doesn't, it multiplies you. Understand this clearly. Opposition is confused right now, but still observant. It watches for patterns. Not to overpower you, but to exploit openings. That is why consistency matters more than intensity. A steady life is harder to disrupt than a dramatic one. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 121, verse 5, "The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand." This is not symbolic language. It is positional truth. God keeps watch. He shades you from exposure you are not meant to carry yet. But staying under that covering requires cooperation. One more instruction: guard your speech. Words are containers. At this level, what you say sets direction quickly. Avoid casual negativity. Avoid self-diminishing humor. Avoid declaring exhaustion over yourself. Speak accurately, not dramatically. Heaven responds to alignment in language. You are also being taught to recognize when to disengage. Not every conflict deserves your presence. Not every misunderstanding deserves your explanation. Silence is sometimes obedience. Walking away can be wisdom. Heaven watches whether you protect your energy as carefully as you protect your reputation. As you practice these things, something subtle will happen. You will feel less rushed, less reactive, more centered. That is evidence of growth. That is what it means to live aware that heaven is watching, not in fear, but in fellowship. Now, as a practical act of recognition, I want you to respond, not out of hype, out of awareness. Comment the number 999 below. This number represents completion of cycles and readiness for transition. By writing it, you are acknowledging that you understand this moment, that you choose to live consciously, knowing heaven observes not to condemn, but to collaborate. Stay steady, stay clean, stay aware. You are not being tested to fail. You are being prepared to lead. When authority is given, Weight follows. Not emotional weight, but spiritual responsibility. To understand what now rests on you at level 777, you must look at a pattern heaven has used before, one that reveals how God entrusts power, how he tests it, and how he sustains those who carry it. The story of Moses is not history for you. It is instruction. Moses did not seek leadership. In fact, he resisted it. When God called him from the burning bush, Moses was already seasoned by obscurity. 40 years in the wilderness had stripped him of ego, impatience, and illusion. He was no longer the impulsive man who killed an Egyptian out of rage. He was measured, grounded, a shepherd. That was not regression. That was preparation. When God placed authority in Moses' hands to confront Pharaoh, to lead an entire nation, to carry divine instruction, Moses immediately felt the weight. He questioned his adequacy. He doubted his speech. He feared the scale of the assignment. This reaction was not weakness, it was awareness. Those who truly understand authority feel its gravity before they feel its power. You are entering a similar space. Authority has increased, not because you demanded it, but because you were trusted with it. Like Moses, you did not arrive here untested. You arrived refined. And like Moses, your challenge now is not gaining authority. It is stewarding it without distortion. Moses learned quickly that authority without intimacy with God leads to collapse. That is why God did not simply send him to Pharaoh and step back. He stayed involved. He spoke. He corrected. He intervened. He partnered. Authority in the kingdom is never independent. It is always relational. After deliverance came administration. After miracles came management. Leading people out of Egypt was dramatic. Leading them through the wilderness was demanding. Complaints, fear, disobedience, pressure. Moses carried not only direction, but people's emotions, expectations, and frustrations. This is where many leaders break, not under opposition, but under responsibility. Moses tried to carry it alone, and that is where wisdom entered through counsel. In Exodus 18, Jethro observed Moses from a distance and recognized something Moses himself could not see clearly. The authority was correct, but the structure was unsustainable. Moses was judging everything himself. He was exhausting himself and limiting the people. The lesson was clear. Authority must be distributed wisely, or it becomes a burden rather than a blessing. Moses listened, he delegated, he adjusted, and because he did, the mission continued without destroying the messenger. This is crucial for you now. Level 777 authority does not mean you do everything. It means you discern what only you can do and release the rest. Trying to control everything is not faithfulness. It is insecurity disguised as responsibility. God does not ask you to carry what he never assigned you to hold. Moses also learned that intimacy must increase as authority increases. The higher the calling, the closer the dependence. He met God regularly. He listened carefully. He obeyed even when the people resisted. And when he made mistakes, he corrected course quickly. Authority did not make him rigid, it made him responsive. There were moments Moses became overwhelmed, moments of frustration, moments of fatigue. Yet God did not revoke the calling. He refined the carrier. That is important for you to understand. Authority does not require perfection. It requires teachability. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 10. See, I have this day set you over nations and over kingdoms, to root out and to pull down, to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant. This verse captures the dual nature of authority. It is not only about building, it is also about removing. Not only about advancement, but about discernment. Moses had to learn when to confront, when to wait, when to intercede, and when to move forward. You are being taught the same balance. Authority is not volume, it is accuracy. It is knowing when to speak and when silence carries more power. It is understanding that people will project expectations onto you that God never placed there. You must discern the difference. Moses' authority was validated not by popularity, but by alignment. People questioned him, challenged him, sometimes even rebelled against him. Yet God confirmed Moses again and again, not because Moses was flawless, but because he was chosen and obedient. This will happen to you as well. Authority attracts scrutiny, but scrutiny does not equal disqualification. God defends what he establishes. Your responsibility is not to convince everyone, it is to remain aligned. Notice this: Moses never lost his dependence on God, even at the height of leadership. He asked questions, he sought direction, he interceded for the people. He stood between judgment and mercy. That posture preserved him. Authority at level 777 is not about dominance. It is about stewardship. You are trusted not just with outcomes, but with people, influence, and timing. That trust must be carried gently and firmly at the same time. You are not Moses, but you are walking a familiar pattern. Called without campaigning, equipped through obscurity, elevated with trembling hands, sustained through relationship. This authority will not crush you if you remember where it came from. And like Moses, you will learn that God never gives authority to isolate you. He gives it to position you as a bridge. Carry it wisely, and carry it humbly, and carry it with God. Now you arrive at the point where heaven is no longer preparing you in secret, but positioning you in plain sight. This is the phase that comes after astonishment, after even God is said to be stunned. Not because he doubted you, but because the fullness of what he placed inside you is now ready to be revealed without restriction. Level 777 is not a finish line. It is a signal flare. It announces that what was hidden can no longer remain concealed. Up to now, much of your journey has been inward. Character before capacity, depth before display. But from this point forward, impact becomes unavoidable. Influence begins to ripple beyond your immediate reach. Your obedience no longer affects only you. It affects systems, people, environments. This is why the stakes feel higher, not heavier, but clearer. You know now that your choices echo. What happens after God is stunned is not chaos or confusion. It is multiplication. What you carried alone before will now be carried through you into others. Wisdom multiplies when shared. Light multiplies when reflected. Peace multiplies when modeled. You are becoming a reference point not because you claim authority, but because authority recognizes you. Legacy begins quietly. It does not announce itself with noise. It starts when your life becomes instructional without effort. People learn by watching how you respond, how you wait, how you speak. You teach without lecturing. You lead without forcing. This is the mark of someone whose alignment is authentic. There will be moments when you are tempted to retreat back into invisibility, simply because it feels safer. Resist that temptation gently. This is not the time to hide what God has refined. Stewardship sometimes means allowing yourself to be seen not for applause, but for assignment. Light hidden too long eventually disobeys its purpose. At the same time, remember this: visibility does not require performance. You do not need to exaggerate your story or dramatize your calling. Your steadiness will speak. Your consistency will communicate. Those who are meant to recognize you will do so without convincing. This next phase will test your ability to remain grounded while expanding. Expansion can be subtle at first. Increased requests, increased expectations, increased access. The key is discernment. Just because you can do something does not mean you should. Just because a door opens does not mean it is yours to walk through. Level 777 authority requires selective obedience. What happens after astonishment is trust. God trusts you with more autonomy, not because He is distant, but because you have proven alignment. Think of it like a parent who no longer needs to supervise every step, not because they stopped caring, but because maturity has been demonstrated. This trust is sacred. Guard it. You will also notice that some relationships shift. Not everyone can walk with you into what comes next. This is not betrayal. It is seasonality. Do not cling to what God is gently releasing. Honor what was, bless it, and keep moving. Holding on too tightly can slow what is trying to accelerate. There will be resistance, but different now. It will not come as open opposition. It will come as distraction, comfort, overcommitment, subtle pride. The enemy rarely attacks what is already aligned head-on. It tries to divert it gradually. Stay awake, stay anchored, stay honest with yourself. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 8, verse 30 still echo today. Moreover, whom He predestined, these He also called. Whom He called, these He also justified, and whom He justified, these He also glorified. This is not a promise of ego, it is a promise of completion. When what God starts, He finishes. And glorification in this sense is not fame, it is fulfillment, becoming fully what you were designed to be. Your destiny will no longer ask for permission to unfold, it will simply move. Some will celebrate it, some will misunderstand it. Neither response should move you. Validation is no longer your fuel. Alignment is. As this message reaches its final movement, receive this gently. You are not meant to walk this next chapter alone. Community matters. Reminders matter. Staying connected matters. Not because you are weak, but because even the strongest need reinforcement. If these words have helped anchor you, consider supporting and sharing them with others who are quietly rising. And if you choose to subscribe, let it be an act of alignment, not obligation, a way of staying connected to truth that keeps you steady. You have crossed into a phase where legacy is no longer optional. It is forming whether you try to control it or not. The only question now is how intentionally you will steward it. Stand tall, stay clean, stay aligned. What comes after level 777 is not noise, it is impact. You have reached the edge of this message, but not the edge of the journey. What was spoken here is not meant to rush you or resolve everything neatly. It is meant to linger, to walk with you quietly after the sound fades. Some truths only activate after reflection, after stillness, after you return to your day carrying them gently instead of gripping them tightly. You do not need to decide everything now. You do not need to explain what you felt or justify what stirred inside you. Let it settle naturally. What is truly aligned will remain. What is not will fall away without force. Trust that process. If this message gave you clarity, peace, or confirmation, you are free to respond in your own way. Some will reflect silently. Some may choose to like or share so others can find it when they need it. There is no pressure here, only invitation. Truth never demands urgency. It waits patiently for recognition. Remember this above all, your journey continues whether you are seen or unseen, affirmed or quiet, understood or not. What matters is that you remain aligned, attentive, and willing. There is more ahead, but it will meet you when the time is right.